Hello and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I would like to talk about the pros and cons, positives and negatives of target repair. When I say target, I exclusively talking about end grain targets for knife throwing. I don't have much or hardly any experience with low grounds, so that's out of the realm of my experience. Oh, sorry, expertise, realm of my expertise. Okay, so I would like to, in this video I'm going to present my personal experiences, and then everybody can make a choice or decision for themselves to repair or not to repair. This is the question. I hope at least a few people will get the reference and have a bit of a laugh at it, but let's move on. Okay, so there are many ways to make, or many methods to make a end grain target. So I'm going to draw on the way I make it, I'm going to base my findings on the way I make it. Let's get into it. Let's get started. So, glued end grain target. That means the individual blocks, so the individual blocks themselves are glued together, and then a frame is glued or fixed with screws, whatever fixtures the individual uses to hold this glued target together into a tight unit, one tight unit. And then there's a back plate is either glued or screwed, somehow attached, and then the target face put onto the target frame. Okay, now if one of these targets develops a soft spot, one of the areas that worn out more than the other parts, then it is possible to repair. Okay, now you need a few conditions to do that. One is make sure that the softer area is not at the edge of the target, because then it will become very difficult. Okay, make sure the frame is in good condition, so it's holding everything together. And three, that the backboard is not glued on. Okay, it is attached by screws, because then you can take it off. Now, screws. I don't believe putting a screw into each and every individual block. Very simple reason. When the target starts to wear down, the lines kind of gets blurry of where one block finishes and where the other one ends. If you start making a hollow, or in knife throwing we call it a donut, or a soft spot, there is a possibility that that has a screw right in the middle of it. Okay, and if there's a screw in there and then you send an implement, there will be a metal on metal contact. Okay, and personally I hate that. That's just, I don't want that. Okay, so there's no screws in the middle of the target, only in the frame. So if that happens, take the target of the frame being what's holding the target up. Yeah, take the target off, unscrew the backboard from the target, mark out the damaged area, cut out the damaged area, make up a plug. I call it a plug, which is basically glue enough blocks together to the right size and shape of the cutout area. Glue that in, wait for it to dry, put the backboard back on, rehang the target. Sounds easy, right? Yes and no. Now, what are the problems? Okay, so let's start with the pros. Why would you do that? Because you save materials. If you're making your target from new material, making a plug of certain size costs less than making a whole target, including the frame. 2, it's a perceived faster than making a new target. But I would say perceived. I don't think there's a major difference, especially if you're using new timber, okay? And then, of course, less glue and all the rest of it. Now, the other side, the difficulty or the negative, finding out exactly what to cut out, that can be difficult, and I will show you an explanation a bit later. Okay, a visual explanation. 2, making those straight cuts can be difficult. 3, making the plug or the blocks that will slide neatly into this hole, again difficult. And 3, the whole process, it's not, I don't think it's really faster, because you do have to take the target off from the frame. You do have to rehang the target. You're mucking around with, I'm not saying tight tolerances, but you want to make it neat, relatively neat. By that time, you can glue together another target. Okay, the only place in this process where you save time is the cutting of the individual blocks to make a whole target. Okay, now let's move on to a pressure fitted target. The pressure fitted target means there's 2 side frames and there are threaded rods on the top and the bottom, and that pulls the target together, creating pressure for the individual blocks to stay in place. And then there is either a backboard or no backboard. Mine has a black backboard, only screwed to the frame. Okay, now what happens, people will say that many people will advocate that kind of target building because they say it's easier to replace the damaged blocks. Now I wouldn't say urge, but I would recommend to change this mindset. Change the mindset from replacing the damaged blocks to the mindset of salvaging the undamaged blocks. Because what will happen, because what will happen is, once you releasing the pressure from the frame, okay, the main difference between the two, here you're releasing the pressure from the frame, and all the blocks that looked good, I mean, these were filled up with all little individual pieces. I have a whole bucket full of it now. All of these, right? And from the outside, it looked, I'm not going to do a close-up because otherwise I lose the setup. It looked just like that. It looks good. I mean, not good, but it looks together. It looks that it is still together. Once you remove the pressure, it falls apart. And then suddenly you go like, okay, it looked like I had to replace 4 blocks, maybe 6, and then you have to replace half of it because everything keeps falling apart, right? Now, what I wanted to talk about, even in the first method, the cutting the hole, it is hard to find because even this piece looks attached, right? Looks attached is good. Now, even without holding it, look, I can break this off, okay? They still held on about a third of the, hold on, I'll show it this way, about a third, and then I broke it off a little bit, okay? And there is, I think I saved another piece, yeah, here, okay? Perfect example. Okay, this is chewed up block, right? But I'm talking about like this piece here, right? So it looks good from this side, it looks good. It's okay, I mean. And then if you look down, it's a huge chunk detached, okay? Less than a third attached. So when you're releasing the pressure, all these pieces are gonna fall off. So suddenly you're not replacing the worn blocks, but you're looking for which are the good blocks that I can reuse. Now, why are worn blocks a problem? Because at no stage, even this has got hardly anything missing, right? And there is one piece here, okay, that will break off. Try to put this back in here, it will not fit flat. It will just won't fit where it should be, okay? So using these blocks and then puzzling back the broken pieces, stop with the hassle, right? Just throw them away or place them aside, put in new blocks. Now, also, another thing that I'm not sure if these blocks will show. This one, yeah, okay, this one will show. Now, when you keep hitting the target, you know, it starts to break into pieces. If you look at how mushroomed the ends, because the pieces break off, the ends open up, end of the block. So when you try to refit it, it's no longer going to be square or, well, almost square, like these are all reused second-hand blocks from dispatch pallets. So they never were square properly. But they even worse now. I mean, they're just not fitting right. So you're going to use a lot of these little, I mean, these pieces are great because you can use them as wedges, you know, fill up the gaps. But suddenly you have a target, half of the target face is full of these little pieces, which is just going to keep on breaking. So it's completely counterproductive. Use the good blocks, discard the rest. Now, you might ask, what will happen if I had a piece which I don't have here, right? But, you know, something that has a hole or lots of wear, and I'm just going to turn it around to the other side. Two issues with that. One, I'm using second-hand timber, right? So I already went through when I was making the target to use the better side out. I don't want the knots on the target face, okay? Because I lost a piece. That was actually a quite nice piece when the knot was visible, and once you hit the knot, it just falls out and you leaves a big crater. You don't want that. I'm sorry I lost a piece. But you definitely don't want. So, you know, for example, this piece, right? Okay, I can turn it around if that corner was still intact, because huge knots. You don't want that in your target face. So might as well get rid of that. Second problem, if it was worn down, you're going to say, okay, I'll turn it around. It will, because once you implement hitting the blocks, the shorter block will shift inland, creating a step, and that's horrible. I mean, even for me being a bit rough around the edges, I really truly hate it. Okay, but there's a solution, right? I can put a spacer behind it so that won't push in. Again, next problem, that block, say for example, mines are say 97 millimeter long, 100 minus the saw blade. That's a 60 mil block. You put a 40 mil spacer behind. That 60 mil block will split sooner than the blocks around it. So again, it's counterproductive. Throw away, get rid of it, put in a new block. Now, last but not least, if you have your target painted up like it used to be, you know, these squares, okay? Now, if you rearrange your blocks because you move the side blocks into the middle because they are hardly worn, you know, the paint will end up on the wrong place. For me, it doesn't matter because it's as it is, it's ugly as hell. Now we'll explain what happened here. But if you're running, for example, you know, you're running practice for competition where you got clear competition lines painted on your on the target face, you rearrange that and repaint it, it's gonna look confusing. Okay, of course there is a solution, right? Because you're going to paint the whole lot white and then paint your competition lines. Next problem, you don't want to paint the whole target because you want to be able to wet or moisture the wood, okay, to be allowing the fibers to expand, increasing the lifespan of the target. So by reusing the blocks, sometimes it is counterproductive. Reuse the ones you can, discharge the rest. Okay. Now, last but not, no, I don't know, maybe least, my friend showed up last night and we were talking about targets and how I can't make a new target. And he said, "Oh, I'm just going to replace a few blocks, knock them in place, right?" As exactly what happened, what I was talking about happened. The block that looked good completely was falling apart when we kind of moved it a little bit. Okay. So I ended up replacing, look, this is all new. I mean, I had to puzzle it how it fit. This whole row is new, 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 new here, new here, new here, new here. And I thought I have two small pieces that I need to replace, okay? A lot more than I expected. And I didn't have the correct size blocks, so I just had to puzzle something in. But with that, there is lots of gaps, big gaps. I had to put huge wedges in. And the problem is you put these wedges in, I mean, that's what they secured the blocks. But that's a broken piece, that's a small piece, that's a small piece. That doesn't matter, it's two on the edge. This is a small piece, right? It will not last as long as if I have actually just took the target off and made a new one, okay? It is, and it looks, even to me, almost, I don't know, ugly, unacceptable. I would prefer if it doesn't look like that. It's just not. Even I advocate that the target doesn't have to be a art of work, but this is ugly. This is below my expectations, or I don't know. I can't find the right word at the moment. Below my happiness. So in any way, these are my experiences. Hopefully with this way you can make up your mind is in that question of to repair or not to repair. I'm not advocating for either or other. I mean, right now the repair is okay because I can keep on throwing, but I don't know how long it will last. I maybe should make a video on it, but I don't know if I can be. It's a bit, to be honest, it's almost like a bit shameful how it looks like. But in any way, thanks for listening. I'm on board on way too long. I mean, it's 18 minutes. It's one of my longest videos. Thank you for listening. Hope you learned something, and see you in the next video. Thanks.